In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to A Place at the Table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
Welcome to A Place at the Table. I'll waste no time in saying, New Year, new me. New Year, better me. What are you saying, Yinka?
Is it okay to say that I'm working on my own me?
That's okay, as long as you're working.
Just kidding. However, I'll be taking up from here, from where I left off last year, and asking, when it comes to gender-based violence, are we really making progress?
You want an honest answer, Yinka? Well, my advocacy points to the need to elevate crime analysis, especially in light of recent regrettable incidents. Welcome to the table, Elsie.
Thank you, Osarogie. I already like the vibe, telling it like it is. I've come to say, let's call a spade and acknowledge the new normal, which is ethical hustling.
There you go. Welcome, Elsie. Glad to see that you're already making yourself feel at home. I'm still on tour of West Africa and Africa, now in Namibia. I'm profiling female heads of government in Africa. Could this be the new normal?
Out with the old, definitely in with the new. The table has been set. Now time to serve up the meal. New Year, better me. Let's ditch the tired and worn out slogan of New Year revolutionists, because if it's important, we will find a way, but if it's not, we'll always find an excuse. Maintaining a balanced diet and healthy eating habits is crucial for overall well-being. Healthy eating supports energy production, weight management, and of course your immune function, reducing the risk of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Adequate sleep and relaxation are equally important for physical and mental health. During sleep, the body repairs and regenerates tissues, builds bone and muscle, and strengthens your immune system. The National Sleep Foundation recommends 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night for adults. Healthy eating with Nigerian meals is absolutely possible. I don't want to hear that excuse. And I have some tips for you. Your jollof, use brown rice instead of white rice. Or reduce your portion of rice and definitely reduce the amount of oil used. Your suya, opts for lean meats like chicken or fish. Reduce the amount of salt and sugar in the marinade. Egusi, one of your faves, use less palm oil, add more vegetables like your spinach and ugu. Akara, that's my favorite. Make it with mashed beans and add vegetables like onions, bell peppers, moi moi. Use less oil, add more fish. Increase the vegetables so that you have a lot more protein content. Incorporate more of this also in your meals. 1, leafy greens. Add spinach, kale, or bitter leaf to your soups and your stew. Vegetables like tomatoes, peppers, and carrots into your meals. Your protein sources, use lean protein like chicken, fish, beans. Whole grains, choose brown rice. Whole wheat bread, whole grain pasta. Healthy fats like avocado, nuts, and seeds. Drink plenty of water, please. Stay hydrated by drinking at least 8 cups of water a day. Eat in moderation. Those of you that go for buffet, control your portion sizes and do avoid overeating. Limit your investment in processed food. Choose whole, unprocessed food as much as possible. Cook at home. It will help you control your ingredients and the portion sizes. Stay active. I cannot say this enough, but it is my advocacy for the rest of my life. Regular physical activity can help you maintain a healthy weight and overall health. There you go. Nigerian food is not the problem. Nigerians are. Wow. Over to you, Yinka. You were writing for
Kate just wants all of us to have this healthy lifestyle by force, by fire.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
This year. Maybe you can start a cooking show, because you literally just gave us all the recipes.
Yeah.
We need You know, and there was one thing you missed out at the last bit of it. Stay active. It was like there's some, you know, other room activity.
Okay, the bedroom. The bedroom is also important. That's part of physical activity.
Why didn't you mention it?
No, it's at the discretion of the.
You mentioned everything. You mentioned moi moi.
Okay, please add it. Please add it to your routine, Yinka.
Yinka,
Next. Of course he is.
Happy New Year to you, Yinka.
Is that all you can say?
Yeah, that's
all of
Elsie, you're looking very beautiful.
Thank you so
Our
much.
blonde bombshell. Over to you.
The lists, I mean, I think I do most of them already. However, I still do white rice. You said
It's
brown
okay.
rice, right?
Yeah.
And then cook at home is where the problem is. So I noticed that when I cook at home, I eat more because I love my food. But if I have to get the food, I'm lazy to maybe place the order or something, so I can't manage my portion. But egusi, I like to say Nigerians have very healthy food.
Yes, we do.
If you can put them all well together.
How
they
you
really
prepare
work,
it,
right?
how you eat
and
it.
there's something you said, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I know how we talk about we are hustling, we're getting, and people say if you're sleeping too much, then you're sleeping away your life. No, you have to sleep. So thank you for adding this. It's very, very important. People need to sleep 7 to 9 hours a day.
At
Do
least
not
7.
joke with it. Me, I don't joke with it too. I know I work hard, but I sleep.
Good girl.
But it's challenging. The whole sleep thing, I get it, you know, and I actually try to do it, but it's challenging.
It can be sometimes.
If you are a very busy executive in Lagos, it's really hard.
Yeah, but when you
to
land in
teach
hospital, you
to
won't be
get
so
that.
busy.
So
When
2
you
nights
land in
ago,
hospital,
I'm not disputing what I'm saying. I mean, what you're saying. I'm just saying that in light of what it demands these days.
But
for
2
you to
nights
be
ago,
that-
I had to sleep at 3 a.m. Right, but I knew that the next day I needed to make up for it. So
Yes.
I went home early and I slept at 9. Right, so it's hectic. Right, it is, but you have to try. Just balance it out. There are times you have to do the job, business executive. You have to, but you have to balance it out.
Thank you. Okay.
I mean, I agree with the sleep aspect of it. I think.
And all the rest, not just sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start
Okay.
with the sleep, you know, because I know that I have a sleep, you know, problem. I've woken up by 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. for at least 12 years, 13 years, you know, because I've done morning.
So when do you go
broadcast.
to bed?
Don't let me say that, please.
Please say it. So we
Please,
sure you
please
have
On
a
the
sleep
average,
problem or
11,
not.
11:30 sometimes, you know, so I'm on the
Like
average, I'm
5
only getting
hours.
5
5
hours.
hours,
yeah.
that's small.
So I agree with it. You know, I feel like, you know, we don't have a properly structured healthcare philosophy in Nigeria.
Yes.
And so a lot of people are going to get into their 50s and realize that they are having heart issues,
Thank you.
you know, because of lack of sleep,
Thank
you know,
you.
which I feel like I need to, you know,
People are having
try.
it earlier now, though.
It's
Yeah,
earlier.
a lot
It's happening
right?
earlier now.
I also feel like we need to have a general change in, as much as Nigerian food is healthy, like Elsie mentioned, I feel like we need to have a general change in the way that Nigerian food is structured. If you look at the physique of, and this is just my own personal beef.
Yeah, go ahead.
The physique with, you know, that you find in other African countries, East Africa and South Africa, you know, because they have less carbs and they eat more protein, you know, so they don't get into their late 20s and you're already having a pot belly. You know, you don't, those aren't normal. You know, if you look at music videos and you see people in East Africa and those places, they naturally have, you know, a flat tummy, you know, because of what they eat. But we grew up with a heap rice on the plate, take one tiny piece of meat.
Don't heap the rice.
Yeah, but that's what we grew up with.
But
you
we
know,
have to have a change of
so that's what
mindset.
Nigerian
needs to
food
change.
problem. It is
That's what we need
our
to change.
own problem.
And here, meat is so expensive because it is like the premium thing on your plate.
Yeah.
Rice, on the other hand, that you should reduce is now cheap. So that's why you have that heap of rice, because you need to fill your belly and then eat a tiny piece of meat.
So is
Yes.
it okay to say that the Nigerian economy is also because of the...
Oh yeah, there's many.
Since when?
No,
No, but that's honestly the way that I
I
think
guess
that it
people
is.
are making choices based on
what they can afford.
Yeah,
what
yes.
they can afford.
Yes. For me, I'm picking on 3 things. The National Sleep Foundation, I think we've talked extensively about that. I read somewhere early this week that if you do not sleep, have adequate sleep, your brain will start eating itself. And I thought that was scary. That's a piece
Terrible way to say
of
it.
scientific facts that I read this week. And I know that there are people who have insomnia.
Yes.
And I know that also working remotely has helped a lot of us in regulating sleep as well, because then you're working from home and you work all day. It's easy to then log off early and sleep. But sleep is important. Yes, Kate, it is. The second thing is the substitution of white rice with brown rice. And here I'm looking at the economic benefit of it, because this is what we grow in Nigeria. We grow brown rice. Yes, we grow brown rice, and it's actually better for us than the imported ones.
Those ones come polished
rice that we have this craving for. So the more we embrace brown rice, the better it is for our economy as well. And then thirdly, the cook at home. Cook at home is it for me. I'm not, well, I dine out, but you know, cooking at home is ensuring that you know what's in what you're eating. Yes. Because all of these, it's not just the ingredients, it's the spices that you find in it.
It is
sometimes they're not healthy.
Of the ingredients.
Yes. Sometimes they're not healthy and you don't know what's gone into what you're eating. So cooking at home is also good if you're trying to live healthy. And I just want to say well done, and well done on your 5-day challenge as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me just take you up on the whole economics of this.
Yes, yes.
Because you see, some of the challenge you have is that the challenge to be healthy is actually, it looks expensive as well. You know, so you take
the hospital bills.
Take the father rice, for instance. It's supposed to be cheap, but today it's an exclusive, really, for those who.
And it's not only your father. We have the Abakaliki one. We have in the northern part. We're just not.
So my question really is that to live healthy, does it mean that you have to be, you know, rich of means to be?
Thank you. Okay.
Not necessarily.
So we have to also, you know, address that part.
Yeah, balance it out. Well, all I want to say is that between the life you want and the life you're living is mindset, consistency, and your choices, definitely. And I'll say it again, if it's important, we will find a way. But if it's not, we will find an excuse. So, no more excuses in anything.
I second that, Kate, especially when it comes to issues like gender-based violence. Gender-based violence remains one of Nigeria's most pressing social challenges. Women and girls, in particular, grapple with the harrowing realities of different forms of GBV: physical, sexual, mental, domestic, and intimate partner or harmful traditional practices. The 2024 Womanity Index, released in December 2024 by Invictus Africa, serves as a data-driven lens to examine Nigeria's evolving GBV prevention and response landscape. The index moves beyond anecdotal evidence to providing a comprehensive assessment of subnational governments, efforts in law and policies, access to legal justice, support services, information and awareness, and budgetary commitment to preventing GBV. By highlighting successes and exposing gaps, the 2024 edition of the Womanity Index challenges stakeholders, policymakers, activists, and citizens alike to ask a critical question: are we making progress? Based on the 2024 Womanity Index, we can conclusively show that approximately 3 out of every 5 Nigerians, 63% actually, have either personally experienced gender-based violence or know someone who has. States with notably high rates include Bayelsa, Cross River, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, and River State. The data also shows that at 46%, domestic violence or intimate partner violence is the most common form of GBV in Nigeria. This is followed by physical violence at 41% and mental/emotional violence at 35%. Interestingly, sexual violence comes at a distant fourth at 33%. Data further shows that 70% of GBV incidents occur within the home, followed by public spaces at 29%. Yet, when seeking help, most GBV survivors turn to family and relatives, the exact same places the abuse occurred. So are we really making progress? This will shock you, but the answer is a conscious yes. The 2024 Womanity Index, in comparison with 2023 Womanity Index, reveals that meaningful strides have been made. For instance, in 2023, only one state, Lagos, was in the blue category as against 3 in 2024. Also, unlike in 2023, where the number of red states were 8, now only 3 states are in the red category. The number of green states also increased from 5 to 11. So no doubt there are many challenges like systemic cultural norms, funding gaps, and regional disparities. But we must not relent in this fight for a GBV-free Nigeria.
This area is nothing new to me. I worked with different NGOs, Project Alert, for over 15 years. This is the space I love to advocate for. And it saddens me that my state is one of those mentioned that have high incidences of domestic violence. So I call on my state governor, Senator Bassi Prince Otu, to please help reduce the numbers or completely bring it to a close, along with the First Lady. I know that the former First Lady of Ekiti State, Lubisi Fayemi, was very, very, very vocal and active. And also Lagos State, I will always commend them, TT, for doing an amazing work in that space. You see, it's a culture of silence and shame to the survivors. Don't call them victims. Survivors that make them, they want to keep it inside. And you see incidences where it's even the mother saying, don't say it's outside, or if they give her money, she'll say it's okay. You know, they always try to tell you, don't shout, don't speak, what will people think? But we need more stringent punishment and for perpetrators. But you see, sexual, gender-based violence is one of the hardest things to prove. Dorothy has said it here in the show. Collection of evidence and all of that, very timely, forensics. And so if you don't have all of that, it's a he said, she said kind of situation.
Well, for me, I'm a woman first, right? And I am. I like to put that out because these days, and it's very personal most of the time. But just as I look at every other issue we have in Nigeria and how we're going, I feel like we're at a point where the justice system has to be fixed for almost everything, right? You said something now where you said, what will people think when people tell them, oh, shut up, right? But that prevails.
That's what people think.
No, they'll tell you what people think, right? But that statement keeps prevailing because we have a weak system, and that weak system supports the ridiculousness of perpetrators and enablers, right? Very recently, we know the story of the doctor who was convicted, and now he's out and celebrating everywhere. I looked at the story and the reasons and all. I mean, I'm not a judge, but at the end of the day, they are supposed to have the highest level of common sense to be able to manage these situations, right? That is a big deal. So I am hoping, I would just say that, yes, kudos to the people you've mentioned, the Lagos state government, of course, always on top of it, and the states that have come into the green zone and blue zone, right? But a lot more needs to be done. We need a system, from the justice system to the police and everybody handling it, that would understand the gravity of this. You keep talking about evidence. Yes, I know there are cases of alleged possible fake allegations, right? But if you look at the numbers, it is not close to what is happening, right? So I think that we should look at the justice system at a point where I feel like it's even getting worse.
First of all, I'm happy that finally men are joining the advocacy. I mean, I love, Yinka, that you're doing this advocacy, not me today. It shows that finally it's getting to the men, and men are beginning to buy into the campaign and the advocacy and owning it, co-owning it with us. Secondly, I'm looking at the 2024 Womanity Index that you talked about, and it just struck me. A lot of the things that we're talking about are happening right under our noses. I mean, look at the top 4 incidences of violence. Intimate partner violence tops the charts with 46%. And then we have the physical violence coming second, emotional, mental third. And the one we're always going on about, sexual violence, is number 4. What does that tell you? It tells us that a lot of the marriages we're looking at are having problems. It shows that people are living a lie. It shows that we have major issues with marriages, and we need to own up and begin to do better. It means that right within the worship centers, churches, and all of that, we need to begin to talk to our
we need
people.
to.
If you look at this intimate partner violence, it has to be the man against the woman. It's seldom the woman against the man, right? Although women can also do that emotionally and sexually. They deny you sex, that is violence. I mean, a lot of men will tell you it's violence, right? But
is it violence?
It is violence.
It's very adamant, but I was here for it. But look, continue.
It is.
Okay.
But we should
Very deadly.
see.
It's not violence. It's not
I think he has something to say. Okay.
Violence
so I
or not.
agree with, it's very violent, very painful.
He has nothing to say at this point, please. Yes.
No. But I agree with, you know, the different aspects that need fixing. The systemic, you know, aspect of it, our criminal justice system. You know, I would always argue that there are certain things that you see in Nigeria, and if you look at the dysfunction that Nigeria is, don't expect that this particular thing only would be fixed. Don't expect that the police will be better when the whole you know, country is in that same dysfunction. That same dysfunction affects everything, including the police. But there's a part that I feel like we don't have a strong enough conversation on, and that is the conversations that men have among themselves. So maybe 3 or 4 out of every man that you see must have, let's say he hasn't done it, but he must have heard from a friend
who does.
you know, maybe it was giving him gist about how, 2 weeks ago there was this girl that, you know, came to visit me and she said she didn't want to you know, have
so
sex.
I said, my friend, what do you mean?
You know,
what do you mean, no?
But she came to me anyhow and I cautioned her.
Exactly. So on different levels, you know, I personally remember moments in maybe 2008, 2009, where I was staying somewhere, and I knew that the person that I was staying with had a friend who used to come home almost every day with secondary school girls. These were, you know, maybe 6 days. I mean, they stay at low court, so they were obviously still children, right? A couple of years later, I now realized that this was actually wrong. You know, these were kids. This you know, I think his name was Pascal. Used to, you know.
So they come with their uniform.
Yes. And the conversation needs to change on the level where you should be able to tell your friend or tell your neighbor or tell your colleague at the office that this thing you're saying sounds like rape.
Thank you.
This thing you're saying sounds like domestic abuse. As much as we want the criminal justice system to be better, instead of waiting for people to be punished first, let's stop it from happening. You know, let's change the mentality that we all have about the rights that we feel that we have over women, sexually and domestically and every other way.
I'm a numbers guy. Perhaps because figures are difficult to hide behind. Some might even say numbers and accountability go hand in hand.
I totally agree with you. Completely agree with you. Well, transparency and accountability sounds familiar. How many times have we heard the families of recent gruesome murder victims demand justice? Every now and then in Nigeria, we are stunned with news reports of a very gruesome murder somewhere in the country. We hear of either dismembered bodies or certain body parts cut off. And the most popular theory is that it must be ritual motivated. You know, they talk about ritual killings every now and then. Nigerians have also repeatedly called for police reforms to have a much better functioning police force. And I say, it is very important as well. Now, I believe as a nation, it is time we actually come together and ask that we elevate the conversations that we have when we see such brutal killings in society, because simply calling it ritual killings is no longer enough. Because what exactly is ritual killings? Is there a possibility that there is so much more going on? Is there a possibility that we have amongst us some of the most mentally disturbed individuals like we maybe see in crime movies? Is there a possibility that there's a fully running organ harvesting and sale business in Nigeria? There are certain documentaries that you see that you talk about a market somewhere in Ogun State where they sell body parts. Is our societal decay also so dark that people still seek money rituals even in 2025? Also, why are women mostly targeted? We should find the capacity to ask all these very important questions and see if there are truly aspects of this thing that we might be ignoring. Does Nigeria have an existing market for the sale of body parts? If yes, why? Do we have psychopaths capable of such gruesome crimes living freely amongst us in every city that we are? Is it time that we also accept how truly backward Nigeria still is, that again, in 2025, people still, rely on money rituals for wealth? Are we still in 1991? Now, by labeling these crimes as ritualistic, we leave the possibility of too many hard questions unanswered, like our mental health infrastructure in the country, law enforcement, dark societal decay, and many others. It is time we elevate the conversation. Let's equip our law enforcement agencies with modern forensic tools, invest in mental health research, and educate our communities about the unspoken aspects of violent crimes.
I mean, if we don't get to the root is always the source, the foundation. We'll always keep assuming it is all of this. Mental health, so key. Many are mad, only few are roaming. That's what I say all the time. I don't think we have a robust mental health system that can tackle these things, because even him as he is he going to be able to have access to a psychotherapist to find out where his mind is at? And why do you feel a sense of nonchalance, about what you just did? And you're mumbling on, and then another person will say, oh, it's spiritual. No, please don't go there, because I will attack you. People always like to, Nigerians, he's from the village. Who is from the village chasing after him?
In Africa, what we can't explain, we mystify. Yeah. And that builds into every narrative, what you see in our society. So money goes missing. The accused said snake had the money.
Snake swallowed it.
That's government.
Okay. A guy escapes from the bank, and then they say the guy disappeared from the CCTV. And so the culture or the practice of investigation, of going through the process of finding out what really happened, we don't do it. And that's why in Nigeria you find out that somebody dies in very questionable circumstances, and then the family says, I beg, let's bury him. Nobody goes through the process of saying, let's investigate. All right, maybe not for today. I mean, the guy is dead, but for the next generation, what happened? Is it something he had? Was it suspicious death? Is it suicide? Whatever it is. And I always say that we've built a society where people are more spiritually conscious and earthly irrelevant. Okay, so they are more aware of what is supposedly happening in the celestial,
I'm sorry,
but they don't know really what is happening around their society. And we need to be able to combat this. And the way to combat it really are the institutions that people normally go to, the church, the mosque, the traditional institutions. They need to start to do this. And if we are true to ourselves, they are the enablers of a lot of these things. In some of the things that they teach and some of the things that they perpetuate. Because like you said, how can we in 2025 still think that somehow by mutilating and killing people or eating body parts, somehow you can miraculously be rich? But the same people who are saying, oh, blah, 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 the same people that will go to church and raise their phone to heaven
for alerts to enter.
Miraculous alerts.
You asked very important questions, and one of them is, why are women mostly targeted? We just spoke about GBV now, right? And women are always, like you said, the survivors. And is there something special about the woman blood that when it comes to ritual, it is the woman, right? And then you said, Kate, you said many are mad, few are roaming.
Yes.
But see, in this country, many are mad, many are roaming, but we lack the capacity to even recognize the mad ones roaming. Because the system is not working. We don't know. You will see somebody clearly behaving in a way that is not usual. You excuse it that, whether he's hustling, he's trying to survive, he's gra, that's how we do it. That is where we need to start from. We need to be able to understand that this is a mental health issue and we want to tackle it. And then, like you said, in-depth thinking, critical thinking, ask the right questions because you're trying to probe, not because you're trying to show that you're working. I mean, I see the videos of this guy in question and I don't even watch it because it's, what are you trying to achieve? Why are you giving him, I don't know what the popularity is. Why is he getting so much press conference? What is happening?
I don't understand.
Right, so the mad people that are roaming are becoming so much. It's not few anymore. So we need to go back to the drawing board, like you said. The mental health system, a lot needs to be done. I think that's all I have to say.
And I also don't want, it to sound like, a case like this is, for the Timileyin case, for example, now is being excused, with mental health.
No.
No, definitely not.
Say that.
No. I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying that, definitely.
But if we saw it happen a couple of months ago, we saw it happen last year, we saw it happen,
Well, I'm not even sure if this is the only person he has killed. Let's go back.
True.
Let's go there. It's because he was caught with this one. We don't know.
But the ones, if you remember, in Yobong, I think that was her name.
Yes.
The girl, there's too many cases that were.
But there's also the case of the young boys. Do you remember the boys that took their friend to be killed? You didn't see it. It was on social media. Some two teenage boys.
Yes, I saw it.
They coerced a friend of theirs. And he was killed. Yes.
First of all, I agree with Yinka. It's culturally easy to pass it off as ritual killings. I don't think they're all ritual killings. Then again, Nigeria has a history of unresolved murders, and it's not good for a nation as resourced as ours, because we have all it takes to resolve these murders. Then again, this is 2025. We're an aware people. We begin to look beyond the surface to look at, the reasons behind all of these. I think Timileyin is mentally disturbed. I think there is an organ harvesting ring in Nigeria.
Wow.
And just as Elsie said, why women when it comes to ritual killings? We hardly see that a man was killed and we're thinking it must be rituals. It's always a woman that is dismembered, whether going for a job interview or taking Keke Marwa to somewhere. But what I want us to focus on is this mental disturbance. You've said there are lots of people mad, some are roaming. You said...
She said the number of roaming is equal to the ones...
So we underestimate mental illness. It is not even our job to find out what is going on. We have forensic experts. We have people who can trail. They're still with the girl's phone. So there are clues that can be, used to track exactly what happened. So again, this is something about our youths and the sort of values we've placed on material wealth in Nigeria. How people just want to be rich. You're young girl, you're using iPhone, you're using a wig that is like 500K, where you're getting the money. Why have we prioritized material wealth over values? What are we teaching our children? Are we even there for them?
The question I want to ask, you don't have to answer it, is what's the role of the media as well? Because Timileyin is all over the place because the media has amplified him.
Right.
But I think the role that we should play here is a follow-up. And this is where I think that we failed.
We dropped the ball.
We dropped the ball.
Yes.
Once, it becomes a less popular story, move on to it. If Bobrisky is in the news tomorrow, we move to Bobrisky. And time passes, nobody follows up. Nobody knows, what the police found out about the case in August last year, or the case in January last year. Let's follow up. That's the point. Anyway, someone once said, let's call a spade and not a garden tool. Was that maybe you, Elsie? I'm not sure now.
I certainly share that sentiment. Time to call it like it is. My advocacy challenges job creators and their employees. Stories of employees leaving their jobs unannounced or secretly working for another organization while still employed are becoming common. Last week, a business executive in a networking community I belong to expressed shock as he found out via social media that one of his best staff started a new job in another organization. Other business leaders seized the opportunity to share similar experiences. Now, for employees, the need to juggle multiple jobs often stems from the high cost of living and the pursuit of financial stability. This can feel like a betrayal for employers, especially when it involves high-value talent in key roles. But how can we address this growing concern while maintaining ethical standards? I think the answer lies in ethical hustling. Ethical hustling is about pursuing success while maintaining integrity, honesty, and transparency. For employees, it means being upfront with employers about side jobs and ensuring that these do not interfere with their primary responsibilities. For employers, it's about fostering an environment where such discussions are encouraged without judgment. In a market where competitive salaries are almost impossible, it's time Nigerian employers embrace ethical hustling. Running a business is difficult. Everyone, including myself and the country, thanks every business owner for creating jobs. However, employees are equally important and are present to render a skilled service. More organizations should begin to focus and provide flexible hours. It's time to go off the full-time clock in, clock out or nothing type of employment, especially when the job does not require such to be productive. Create a safe space for employees to share their financial realities or side hustles. Define boundaries around performance, confidentiality, and workload with empathy at the heart of your operations and structure. Employees, on the other hand, should understand the ethical hustling requires accountability. Side jobs should never compromise the quality of your primary work. In the face of Nigeria's economic challenges, especially brain drain, the future of work lies in adaptability. Let's create a culture where ambition and integrity thrive together, one honest conversation at a time.
Considering the prevailing circumstances we're faced with and everything else, 9 to 5 is actually out the door. You know, telling people 9 to 5, that's like the only constant thing in life is change. You should be able to adapt. Yes, people want to make more money because obviously what they're making in one place is not enough. I'll give you an example. My cleaner, since over a year, I tell her to come twice a week because transportation, and I mean, the house is not that dirty. And at a point I told her, if you need to find another job, you can actually come to me from 9 to 12, clean, and then go. I actually sought for another job for her. Asked friends if they needed a cleaner so that she could, you know, double her earnings. And so that's a way I feel that employers can help their employees. You know, that way there's transparency, there's honesty, and there's integrity, all the factors that you mentioned. And everybody will be happier in the end, in the long run.
Okay, so let me start by saying that I believe that we are in a different dispensation now.
We are.
So I call it BC versus AC, okay? BC was before COVID, AC is after COVID.
Oh, we have another one, Sev.
Really?
Before this administration and after the administration.
Oh, wow.
That's a new, before COVID is
That's a
way gone, but
conversation
yeah.
for another day. So the nature of work has changed, ultimately. And I think that what you're seeing with some major corporations, we have some of these major corporations like Google and Amazon insisting that staff should come back to the office. It's like they're fighting back, or I would say the last gaps of a dying culture. But the nature of work
The world as we
has
see.
changed. And most people, especially the Gen Z generation, will just basically tell you that if you're not allowing them to be able to, you know, work and at the same time combine it with some level of recreation or relaxation, they won't do it. And we need to come to that reality, especially in Nigeria. And it brings me to this conversation around wage versus salary.
Yes.
We say we have a minimum wage in Nigeria when actually it's a minimum salary. All right? Because really, if you want to practice wages, then you pay workers on a day-to-day basis. All right? So if I know that I'm paid on a daily basis,
Even per hour.
or per hour, for instance, all right, I can choose to work for 5 hours for you, and I can choose to work for 5 hours for somebody else. So the contract of employment that I have, or the contract I have with you, specifies that.
Yeah.
And that's why you find that in most developed countries, somebody can have 3 running jobs full-time. It should be about productivity.
Absolutely.
And we proved it during COVID that we can be at home and we can be productive at the same time.
Sadly, I think Nigeria still has, you know, a bit more to go before we get to that stage where our work culture can be like what you described, where a person can have 2 or 3
Honest.
shifts. Yeah. Because if I'm working here in Ogba now, my next shift is in VI. I may not make it time to resume. So, you know, I'd rather just stick to the one that I have and get paid at the end of the month, you know. So Nigeria still has a couple of levels to get to before
yeah.
we get there. I remember I think Peter, we mentioned it, or suggested it, during the campaign, about changing our work culture. But there's that part. There's also the part where employers don't trust employees, right? And that is because of there's a Nigerian mentality, right, that makes us not trust each other.
Yes.
Like it's right. That's where we start life from. I don't trust you as a vendor, as an employee, as an employer,
as a client.
I don't trust you. All right. When you prove otherwise, like my mechanic, you can have the same mechanic for 5 years. On the 6th year, he will still cheat you. It is that is the regular Nigerian culture, and so because of that, it's difficult for the employer to agree that this is a good working standard. You can work from home as long as you deliver on your job. He wants to see you actually working. He wants to see that you're actually in front of your laptop, you are sweating, and you are delivering on, set goals.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're speaking from experience.
No, I'm not.
Because you're very, very mental on this thing, but continue.
No, I'm not. So the point is, so even in situations like that, we don't even have the employee culture, employee rights, that can protect, workers in Nigeria.
Interestingly, we do. We just don't pursue it. We don't even know it. We do. We do. If you pursue it, most of the time, employees that go to court actually win.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Please, we need a lot of this information out there.
But the point is, we're a couple more steps that we need to go before we get there. For now, this is just where we are. And it is what it is.
Okay.
But I agree with you.
Elsie, you talked about, you actually made a statement. You said the future of work is adaptability. I'd like to add empathy as well. Because an employer that is empathetic to the cause of the welfare of their employee would get more from them. So it is that we allow employees to be better versions of themselves while they work with us. I speak because I'm an employer of labor as well. So I understand what you mean by ethical hustling. I've had conversations with one of my workers to say, I don't think you're giving your best. It's not about your best, but I think you can be more than this. What are the other passions that you have that you need in order to grow into your own?
Make you better,
because when you grow into your own, it's actually better for me because I'm going to have a happy employee. So that is ethical hustling for me. The fact that you allow them, like for instance, you work in a radio station or TV station, but you're not allowed to do any other thing. But then you can be a compere somewhere and you're not allowed to do it. But you do it so well, but you're not allowed officially to do it. You're killing that employee. So, and then again, there is a work-life balance that people talk about. It's a myth. But when you allow your employee to have ethical hustling, then they can have this harmony we're talking about. Allow them be writers, allow them be actors and actresses. Enjoy seeing them on other stages and enjoy seeing them shine. That way they're going to be loyal to you. If you tell them, oh, leave that place, they'll say, no, I don't want to leave. And give them opportunities to grow. Give them the opportunity to attend courses. Somebody cannot be working with you for 3 years and they've never accessed any training. It's wrong.
Empathy is important. Having that open conversation and really wanting to see your employees succeed is something that we all need to. And of course, I would like to repeat accountability on the employee's part as well. Because
absolutely,
running a business is not child's play, right? So Osarogie speaks of elevating our conversations. It begins with acknowledging the reality that many are living and hustling in. Ethical hustling is a new normal whose time has come.
I hear you and I totally agree with you. And sometimes we gain the necessary perspective when we look beyond our borders. Just before the end of 2024, Namibia, a country in southern Africa, welcomed its first elected female president, Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah. As 2025 started, we watched as a female vice president was sworn in Ghana. What a spectacle that was. We had barely recovered from these when news broke that Lagos State, Nigeria's most futuristic state, has sworn in the first female speaker of its House of Assembly. Congratulations to Mojisola Miranda, or barely within 3 months. Giddy, right? Yes, rightly so. But did you know that there are more women of power whose stories have been buried in the chronicles of African leaders and governance? Namibia has now joined Burundi, South Africa, Liberia, Gabon, Mauritius, Malawi, Central African Republic, Ethiopia, and Tanzania on the list of female heads of government. So contrary to popular belief that it's only Liberia that has, given the first female president, Sylvie Kiningi was the Prime Minister of Burundi in 1993. She became acting president when the incumbent president Melchior Ndadaye died. South Africa's Ivy Matsepe-Cassaburi served temporarily as constitutional head of state in 2005 between the resignation of President Thabo Mbeki and takeover of Kgalema Motlanthe. In 2006, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf became the first elected female president in Africa, and she spent a total of 12 years. Rose Francine Rogombe, originally the Senate president in Gabon, became the interim president for 4 months after the death of the president Omar Bongo Sr. In Mauritius, 2 women had governed the country, Agnes Monique Hozan Belipo in 2012 as acting president for 4 months, and Amina Gurib Fakim, the first female president in 2015, who was unanimously elected by the National Assembly. Move over to Malawi's Joyce Banda, who was once named by Forbes as 40th most powerful woman in the world and the most powerful woman in Africa. She was president of Malawi for 2 years following the death of President Bingu Mutharika. Mayor of Bangui in Central African Republic, Catherine Samba Panza, became interim president and acting head of state in 2014. Sahle-Work Zewde became the first female elected president of Ethiopia, and then Tanzania's Samia Hassan serving as president since 2021. Nigeria is inching closer.
Funke said Nigeria is inching closer, so I just want to read out some.
You have changed it to hopefully.
Hopefully, with the first female speaker in Lagos. We're inching closer now. Let's be positive.
All right. The North Central, for instance, has the highest representation of women commissioners in Nigeria at 29%, as against the Southwest, which is supposedly the most progressive at 19%. Now, that's what? 19.
Okay.
Out of the 993 State House of Assembly seats, only 55% are occupied.
Only what?
50 out of 993. Okay, 5% are occupied by women. 14 states have no representation at all. States like Abia, Imo, Osun, there are many.
Right.
Now, out of 109 senators, only 4 are women, all right? And out of the 10 principal officers, none at all is a woman.
Out of what?
So in the Senate, there are 10 principal officers, none of them is female. Okay, in the House of Assembly, 360 members, only 16, that's 4%, are women. And this is a decline from 26 in 2011. How many years ago is that? Like, we've declined like what? Over 15 years.
We've been declining everything, so I don't know why this is surprising.
Of the 48 ministers, only 9 are women. Okay? And guess what? When we go out of there, then we go into the private sector. As of April 2024, of the 25 commercial banks in Nigeria, 7 were women. As of today, there are 11.
We underestimate who we are, and this man spoke to that last week about our narratives. What America just achieved with the vice presidency of Kamala Harris, we've had that for years.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And we've had female heads of government for years in Africa. I understand the statistics that you're giving, but you see,
I'm Nigeria specific. I'm not speaking about Africa. I am
speaking about Africa, and I'm letting us see the wealth of the competencies and abilities of some of the female heads of governments we've had.
We are not inching closer. We are going back to, the dark ages. Because
Nigeria now or Africa?
No, privately, yes, but public. I'm telling you, they have in public sector, in government, you can only tie wrapper as a woman leader. praise singer, support as a deputy. It's like they put a ceiling and you can only go so far. Lagos State, I'm not going to say anything, please excuse me.
I know that we've had
people should not come
female
after me.
deputy governors. I mean,
yeah, but
how they ended up is another thing.
The Lagos State one you're talking about is not because she was, united.
Exactly. She wasn't voted. It was something on cause.
Yes.
Something just happened right now. This is what happened. So we need to be more futuristic in our inclusion of women. When we go back to how we see women in Nigeria, it's mostly a patriarchal situation. You can only come so far. After that, please drop down. You're too arrogant. You are wanting too much. What about the children? Who would look after the children? There are excuses why a woman can only advance so far. But in the corporate world, they're seeing the benefits, the huge benefits of having women lead. They carry everyone along. This is not excusing the bad eggs we've had in government. I'm not mentioning anybody's name, but they know themselves. But we need to be more progressive in including women in the top. And I mean the top.
The point is, if other African countries can do it, we can do it.
Yeah, we're not ready.
And I understand what you mean by, but she was not... it was because somebody stepped
if he
away.
didn't have the
so
crisis,
it might be
if he didn't have a crisis, when would she have entered that
It might be tokenism, but the point I'm making is, and I'm drawing attention to the fact that it's happening elsewhere, and it just didn't start yesterday. Over time, it has happened. So with that woman in Lagos, let us begin to think an inch closer. The narratives are changing. You can't say the same thing about Kamala Trump.
Leave those people.
What they can't achieve, we are achieving it in Africa, and we should not bury this narrative.
I love what you're saying there, because it also speaks to the PR of Africa, how we're telling our story and pushing out that story. Because if you're making noise about having the first vice president female, and we've achieved that a long time ago, then it speaks to how we're also projecting ourselves as a people, as Africans, beyond Nigeria and our backwardness.
Elsie, you got it.
Because I've seen certain companies, I wouldn't mention any names, that have a special affection for women. If you look at their top leadership, they're all women. Look at when they're doing any programs, they're targeting women. If you get into any meeting, even with them, their top leadership, you only see 2 men there. It's women in every single...
They have cracked it.
Ooh, it's so inspiring. But when it comes to governance, no, leave that, one. And the arguments, none of them really make sense. But I also, a lot of risk want to ask, do women really, really, really want leadership? Do they really, really want governance? Because, both of you here, A Place at the Table has always had fantastic women representation, since it started.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I worked on radio I did radio for 9 years. There's a particular radio station in Lagos now that has its specific female line, because I'm sure they did that because they wanted to at least encourage women to please call now. I did radio for 9 years. In those 9 years, if I received 10,000 calls, there may be 100 that were women. Except I was talking about marriage. I was talking about things that house help or women, that kind of thing.
Ingredients, cost of ingredients in the market.
Exactly.
Childcare.
But when we are talking governance, elections, you're talking about the things that actually matter and the decision we're making in society.
They're not interested.
We need to equip our women more.
Yes. So they also need to show a certain level of interest.
This generation might not do it, but you see the next generation. You remember how you're growing up, the boy goes to the father where he's reading the newspaper, and the woman is with the mom in the kitchen.
She's in the kitchen.
So how do you then suddenly expect her, she's grown, and then she has to now start talking politics when she wasn't invested in politics? So I think it's changing. I agree with you, but there are loads of women that are actually... Should I use
politically conscious and aware?
And they're doing what they can do.
I agree with that.
We need more level playing field in politics. In private area that he's mentioned, that progress is there because they've created that level. There are policies that guide it. They'll tell you you're hiring whatever, you have to have 50-50 or nothing. Some even go as far as telling you 65-35. So it's a conscious effort. This is what I'm saying. If politics were level playing field and there are conscious effort to ensure that women are there, you will see women there.
I mean, how many women want to go through what Natasha Akpoti went through in getting to a political office?
But here's the thing.
Many people?
But here's the thing. Men go through it. It is only
I
acceptable
agree that we
because
shouldn't be given an easy pass. We have very intelligent women out there.
We have.
I agree with you.
The level of brilliance that unfortunately, the average Nigerian politician doesn't show any brilliance.
No.
He just needs to show up and have a lot of money.
Sips.
So,
What we want, in politics and governance for women in Nigeria is don't make it tokenistic.
Yeah.
Allow us to have a level playgrounds to be part of governance and to show the stuff we've made of. And we're made of, really good stuff. Allow us. But as Kate said, is out with the old, in with the new. We're certainly still glistening with New Year's sparkle at the table. I mean, look at all of us. Glad you could join us. Be sure to be part of a fresh discussion that matter. Same time, same channel next week. Till then, adios.
Adios, Etiero.
So double.
Bye.